A ceasefire on paper, a road being cleared. Then gunfire at close range. A peacekeeper falls. France calls it deliberate, Hezbollah calls it denial. In southern Lebanon, even neutrality is under fire. So what really happened on that road to Ghandouriyeh? And who is this ceasefire actually protecting? A French peacekeeper was ambushed and killed in southern Lebanon on April 18th, and the finger is pointing squarely at Hezbollah. Staff Sergeant Florian Montorio was on a mission that should have been routine. His unit was clearing explosives off a road near the village of Ghandouriyeh, trying to reach a UNIFIL outpost that had been cut off for days by fighting in the area. Then, out of nowhere, armed men opened fire. France's Armed Forces Minister Catherine Vautrin described what happened next.
This morning, while on a route-opening mission to an isolated UNIFIL post that had been cut off for several days by fighting in the area, he was caught in an ambush by an armed group at very close range. Struck immediately by direct fire from a light weapon, he was pulled back under fire by his comrades, who were unable to revive him.
3 other peacekeepers were wounded, 2 of them seriously. Within hours, French President Emmanuel Macron was on the phone with Lebanese President Joseph Aoun and Prime Minister Nawaf Salam. He was not mincing words. On X, Macron said directly,
"Everything suggests that responsibility for this attack lies with Hezbollah. France demands that the Lebanese authorities immediately arrest the perpetrators and take their responsibilities alongside UNIFIL."
UNIFIL, the UN peacekeeping force that has been stationed along the Israel-Lebanon border since 1978, put out its own statement. It called this a deliberate attack on peacekeepers engaged in their mandated tasks, and said its initial assessment indicated the fire came from non-state actors, a term that in southern Lebanon has one well-understood meaning. An investigation has been launched, but the broader context here is what makes this particularly alarming. This attack came less than 2 days after a fragile 10-day ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah was announced by US President Donald Trump. Hezbollah pushed back hard. The group issued a formal statement denying any connection to the attack, saying,
"We deny any connection to us with the incident that occurred with UNIFIL forces in the Ghandouriyeh area in Bint Jbeil, when these parties are absent and no voice is heard from them when the Israeli enemy assaults UNIFIL forces."
It's a deflection, but it's a calculated one. Hezbollah is pointing to a pattern. That international outrage over peacekeepers tends to be selective. That line will resonate with some. It won't satisfy Paris. Lebanon's own leadership condemned the attack. President Aoun told Macron his government will not hesitate to pursue those involved and bring them to justice. Prime Minister Salam ordered an investigation. Even Nabi Berri, Parliament Speaker and a long-standing Hezbollah ally, broke from the script. He personally called UNIFIL's force commander to offer condolences and praised, in his words,
"The sacrifices made by UNIFIL forces over the decades, particularly the French contingent."
That last detail is worth sitting with. When Hezbollah's own political allies are offering condolences, it suggests the group may be more isolated on this than its denial implies. And this is not an isolated incident. Last month, 3 Indonesian peacekeepers were killed in southern Lebanon. A preliminary UN investigation found one was killed by Israeli tank fire, and the other 2 by an improvised explosive device, likely planted by Hezbollah. UNIFIL's mission is set to end by late 2026. The question now is whether it can survive that long, and whether a ceasefire that Hezbollah didn't agree to, in a country still partly occupied by Israeli forces, can hold at all. Saturday's ambush didn't just kill a soldier, it put that entire already fragile arrangement under new and serious strain. Despite Israel's military ravaging campaign that has killed some of Hezbollah's most senior commanders and degraded much of its arsenal, the group is still standing. And the reason, according to a Western intelligence report, is simple. The money, has not stopped flowing. Analysts estimate Hezbollah currently needs around $50 million every single month. That covers salaries, weapons, and crucially welfare payments to the families of fighters who have been killed or wounded. It is that last part that keeps recruitment alive and loyalty intact. Since 2025 alone, the group is believed to have received close to $1 billion from Iran. The intelligence report is blunt about where that money originates.
Most of the Iranian budget stems from revenues of the Iranian state and security forces derived from oil sales primarily to China, and is transferred back through shadow banking mechanisms designed to circumvent sanctions.
In plain terms, Iranian oil goes to China. The money circles back through front companies in Hong Kong, the UAE, and Turkey, and then Lebanese businessmen move it the rest of the way to Hezbollah. The report names several individuals at the heart of this operation. One of the principal figures is a man identified only as Hassan K., who runs gold companies in Lebanon and Dubai. According to intelligence analysts, he has transferred hundreds of millions of dollars to Hezbollah through a Turkish exchange house, using a combination of air couriers and overland routes through Syria. That is notable because Syria's new authorities have been cracking down on Hezbollah activity since the fall of the Assad regime in December 2024. Yet parts of this pipeline, the report suggests, still run through the country, with a Syrian company and even the Syrian central bank reportedly facilitating transfers. Then there is Mohammed Noureddin, who heads an exchange house called Trade Point International. The US Treasury designated him back in 2016 for supporting Hezbollah. That same year, France arrested him on money laundering charges. He was released and returned to Lebanon. According to the analysts, he is still at it, now working alongside a Syrian exchange house called Al-Ansaf. A separate Western intelligence source told Euractiv that inside Iran, the most important financial operator is Abdallah Saifuddin, the brother of Hashem Saifuddin, Hezbollah's former number 2, who was killed in 2024. Abdallah oversees funding streams that stretch from Chinese state banking relationships all the way to drug trafficking revenues in South America, the United States, and Europe. What makes this particularly striking is that despite his role, Euractiv has learned that Saifuddin has at times served as a point of contact for European diplomats. In 2016, he met with Michael Klaus-Berchtold, then Germany's ambassador to Iran, and maintained regular contact with other EU representatives. At the center of Hezbollah's domestic financial structure is the Al-Qard Al-Hassan Association, a Hezbollah-run institution operating since 2007 and designated by the US Treasury that same year. It functions like a bank, pooling Iranian transfers with deposits from Shia communities in Lebanon and abroad, and then paying out salaries to Hezbollah's military wing while financing arms procurement. The intelligence report does not mince words about what this means for Lebanon.
The mere fact that AQAH continues to function gravely damages the Lebanese state and its reputation. It prevents the country's financial system from rehabilitating itself and from building a viable and effective framework.
The institution is now one of the central obstacles to Lebanon being removed from the Financial Action Task Force's grey list, which in turn is blocking billions in post-war reconstruction funding. And yet, the Lebanese government has so far declined to shut it down, stopping short even of declaring it an unauthorized entity. Turkey and the UAE have recently begun tightening scrutiny of financial transfers linked to Lebanon, and UAE authorities have arrested a network of gold and cash smugglers allegedly working on Hezbollah's behalf. But the network, as this report makes clear, keeps finding new paths. The money for now keeps moving.